Welcome to BS session number 29. A whole new year of debauchery.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, Ballistically Speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.
Yeehaw, Grandpa.
You so dumb.
For real. I just realized I was Bending Ballistics tried to phone call me about a half an hour ago. I wasn't able to take the call at that particular time. I was supposed to call him back and I forgot. Came on here instead. Yeah, bring him on.
Hey guys,
what's up?
How are you?
Good, man. Dave's saying the link's not working for him.
Oh, is that right?
He has the same link as you, right?
Yeah, I copied it from me and sent it to him.
Well, it's working for you.
I'm not sure what to do there.
It might be user error.
I would not be surprised with Dave.
Well,
he has a hatred for electronics. So anyway,
tell him highlight it, Control C, go to his browser, Control V, boom.
I don't know if he's trying to do it on his phone or not, but I just dropped off Ken Thiessen at the airport, and so I'm in my truck getting ready to drive back. His flight got delayed. Good old swoop there, so screwing people around.
Oh, who's
a
flying
late
on
flight
swoop?
in Canada? Imagine that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, froze up.
Yep. Ryan, I'm gonna guess that Ryan's gonna be in and out. We got the video back, but I don't hear any audio from him.
I stopped talking. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go. That explains it.
Yeah, it's always a possibility, I suppose.
Well,
you guys been drinking? You've been drinking already, or like?
No, not a drop. It's 2023. We have to wait at least 72 hours. Oh shit!
Right.
I can drink. The New Year's resolutions don't have to last that long. But we're gonna pay some bills here, Ryan, and then we're going to start introducing you and moving on with the whole rest of the show. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, just 2 seconds. I'm just so he just sent me a screenshot. Says an error occurred, but it's not your fault. It says try again and contact us if it continues.
Oh, so it's his connection or something somehow, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know what to tell him about that. The same link that got you in here should get him in here. I don't understand it. Tell him to keep trying, I guess.
Yeah. All right,
so
we'll roll through some.
Yeah, you go. Why don't you start, and I'm going to look for another.
I will.
Link.
All right. BS session 29 brought to you tonight by EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta. They have the tools, the knowledge, and the support you need to achieve your goals of precision rifle mastery. As skilled craftsmen and proven solution providers, EM guarantees equipment performance second to none. Consult with Shane for the build of your dreams and allow Steve to handcraft your next precision tool for an experience you will not forget. Find these gentlemen on Facebook, Instagram, and on their website at emprifles.ca. Get them to build you a rifle with an MDT chassis.
Does that mean I should do one now?
You should probably do it.
I actually have their sweater on even today, so
Nice. Oh, there's Dave.
It must have been a browser thing. I tried a different browser and it worked.
It's probably a browser thing. What browser were you using, Dave?
Brave?
What the hell is Brave?
I don't know. It's one that doesn't like steal all your information, like all these like weasels and Apple.
Oh,
and
that's
Google and stuff
that's
do.
why it didn't work. We have to steal
Maybe
all
it's a
your information.
non-binary browser.
I don't think it's binary. It just it keeps all those greasy tech people from stealing all your information.
Oh,
It probably doesn't allow cookies or anything like it. Probably doesn't allow access to your camera or your microphone. That would probably do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't even getting as far as those prompts. I was just getting the like, try again. I was like, damn you, computers.
Just try it again with a different browser.
Exactly.
Hey,
Yeah, Dave, I already explained to him how your hatred of electronics, so it's understandable.
Some electronics are okay. If it lets me hit targets, I'm all over.
Right.
that's simple programming, though.
Exactly. Or if it grinds coffee beans, I'm good for that too.
Wait a minute. You need, I guess it's electronics, not software. I was going to say, what kind of software do you need to grind coffee beans?
That's true. I don't think there's much.
Yeah. Hey, Kurt, what am I supposed to be reading next year? I completely lost my spot.
Bolt Action Coffee.
Oh, I love those guys. Bolt Action Coffee, huh? For world-class specialty coffee from world-class Canadian Forces veterans, go to boltactioncoffee.com. Order up some coffee for any occasion. And while you're there, check out their great line of apparel, mugs, stickers, and patches. Help support a great veterans organization as well as this show.
I'm actually like making some bolt action coffee right now. No,
Hell yeah.
Excellent.
With your fancy algorithm-based electronics coffee
Right.
grinder.
Exactly. I'm making a nice decaf espresso.
Love it.
All right.
This is why I love traveling with Dave too, because he always brings an espresso maker with him when we travel to matches.
Hell yeah.
Does he really?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got like a little mini one that you like hand pump. All you need is boiling water. It makes a mean shot of espresso.
That's hilarious.
Keep things consistent so I can have like the same stuff I have as when I'm at home.
Love it.
I start crushing drip coffee and I'll get the jitters.
Okay, let's get through the rest of this stuff here. Also brought to you by Callsign 66. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Book a course with them now at callsign66.ca.
And Odell Engineering, pick up a Canuck shotgun or Brigera rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up at odellengineeringltd.com. Just an update for everybody who's following the TM22, by the way. They have now released all of their colors with the extended length handguard and the adjustable buttstock. It is quite the badassery. I now wish I had waited like a month and got the OD green one. But
Oh well. Hey, I got a paint can.
that a boy. Let's paint it up.
All right, we got Apex Optics. When you buy Apex, precision comes standard. Find them at apexoptics.co and grab yourself a Rival 4 to 32 rifle scope and get on the mailing list for more exciting products coming soon. And there is one product coming very soon. I think due to be revealed at SHOT Show.
There are multiple products due to be
Aren't
revealed
there?
at SHOT Show. Actually, that that's what I've heard.
Chris is in
And
the know.
yeah, well, and stay tuned next week because we will be talking to Vanya from Apex Optics, and we will be trying to push him to leak some of those announcements early. Maybe if we can
Indeed.
convince him to do that. I don't know if that'll work or not, but we'll try.
He showed me a few little things when we were down at the PRE show in Texas there, and
Yeah.
they've got some cool stuff coming down the pipeline. And actually we've got a bunch of their scopes and on our guns in our booth, so that they help us out. They're awesome guys to work with. So
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They definitely are. Next,
All right.
Kurt.
Okay. Ribstone Gunsmithing, craftsmanship done right. Contact Oscar at ribstonegunsmithing.ca and breathe life back into any firearm. Well, almost any firearm. Not
Most firearms.
Yeah.
Maybe not those like
Grandpa's
super rusted
crowbar.
ones that you see
Yeah.
the ASMR restoral videos on YouTube. Maybe not those ones. That's what Oscar should start doing. He should start doing ASMR rusted restoral firearm videos on YouTube.
What's ASMR?
That's a good question.
Well, I can't remember what it stands for. What does ASMR stand for? Nothing. It doesn't stand for anything. It is stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response.
That sounds like a gun. Maybe from like sci-fi or like
It's all that weird shit that you see on YouTube where it's like weird sounds, like people doing like that sort of stuff in their microphones. But there's all these
whispering and yeah.
like whispering stuff like this, and people find it very soothing and relaxing. I don't know why.
You're gonna have nightmares. You keep that up.
You're welcome. But there's a bunch of ASMR gun restoral videos on YouTube where they just put their microphone really close to what they're doing. So like when they're scrubbing the side of this gun that they're restoring, all you hear is like the brass of the brush on the steel of the gun and all that sort of stuff. That's where ASMR gun videos come from.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I haven't gone down that rabbit hole.
No.
Don't. I suggest you don't. It's probably better not to.
Oscar says, I like the technical team to do the video work and editing. The fixing of the gun is the easy part.
Well, if he did the videoing, I could do the editing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just put little clips together.
Okay, so I'm going to say this out loud just before we get too started, because Bending Ballistics is having a coronary and has been since before the show started. He's interested in who to contact to get an Oryx chassis for a Howa 1500 project he's doing.
Just reach out to the support guys. Support at mdttac.com.
Support at mdttac.com. Bending Ballistics. Contact them, some bitches, and get your Oryx for your Howa videos. So Shane Mansour says, if we did ASMR vids, it would just be Steve Emblin swearing GB and 5-finger death punch in the background. I'm not sure that Shane quite understands what ASMR is either. That's hilarious. Hey, we should let you two introduce yourselves. Who wants to start, Ryan or Dave?
Ryan.
All right, give it, Ryan.
Thanks, Dave. Ryan McLean here. I think I've been on your show at least once or twice before, or at one of your iterations of your show. And I've been shooting since early 2010s area, 2012. Got into competition then, shot in Ontario quite a bit. Doing precision rifle stuff on the military bases. Was involved with the Ontario Rifle Association, running some matches, shooting lots of matches, going to Connaught. Did a mix of F-class stuff, and then shot my first PRS match back in 15, I think it was, or 16. And just realized how freaking awesome it was over in Michigan. And the next year went down and shot my first 2-day match down in Kentucky. And then we ran our first match at Meaford, 2-day match at Meaford for the PRS. That was the first one in Canada that was ran there. It was eye-opening, to say the least. And then from there, we've been running different matches. We started the 22 series in Ontario, Northern Rimfire series with Adam Cool, who's still running that now, and that's part of the PRS series in the US, so that people can qualify to go down and shoot the finale, which I think there was 8 guys that went down, maybe even 10 guys that went down this year, all the way down to Texas from Ontario. They qualified for that. And and then 2 years ago, in the next couple weeks from now, I went and started a job with MDT out here in BC. Moved out here about a year and a half ago, and I've been working for MDT. I have been doing the project management and testing and evaluation on lots of new products, doing a lot of product development as well. My position's actually just changed now. I'm going to be the technical titles category manager for competition. And that, spreads from everything from, PRS, F-class, shotgun, air rifle, whatever. Any kind of competition you can do with a gun in your hand, pistols, 3-gun, whatever. And then I still will be doing all the testing and evaluation, a lot of product development involved in that as well. And then another big part of my job here is I work with the marketing team on doing the YouTube videos, testing videos, hunting videos, a bunch of stuff like that. It's technically a job, but I can't say it's it's a hard job, but it's a great job that I love.
Nice. Yeah, you'll see Ryan on all sorts of those videos at the MDT website. Go ahead and check those out,
including cooking bacon videos.
That's right.
Yeah.
Barrel bacon.
It is my
Yeah.
favorite video so far.
Canadian barrel bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've gone to some extremes there. We just went and froze a rifle there and released that video today with
Saw that,
with dry ice. Yeah, that was a fun one.
I missed that one. I'll have to look
Yeah,
that
it just dropped today. So
Okay.
it was fun. It was a little scary, but it was fun. So
it was scary grabbing a gun that had been frozen in dry ice, or
yeah, like it was. We had a thermal and we could measure it down to -100. Sorry, yeah, what the heck was it? -7. No, I can't remember what the heck it was. Yeah, -71 Fahrenheit. So and it could go down to 109 Fahrenheit. So we couldn't measure below that though. And when we took it out, it immediately started to frost. And we didn't know what was going to happen with the metallurgy or the the buildup of frost on the rounds. Or anyway, it got interesting. So nothing crazy happened, but
that's got to affect the steel though. Like that's -57 Celsius.
yes.
Like
Yeah.
you'd think that has to affect it somehow.
Yeah, I think so. I was impressed that the Razor Gen 2 survived it. So
Really?
Oh yeah. No, I dropped the whole thing in. So
that's what you were doing with Ken?
No. Actually, Ken just actually took a position with MDT here. This is his first week of work here at MDT. He's going to be managing dealer sales here. So yeah. I was actually just dropping him off at the airport to go back from working. So yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Well, all right then. Well, congratulations to Ken Thiessen then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess that's probably the official announcement. He hasn't told anybody really. So
whoops.
Yeah.
By Orion.
I hope he's at least told his family.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to hear about it on the BS podcast.
Shit.
I'm going to have to look that video up though. Like -57. That's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It was a lot of fun that day, and then we shot the dry ice that we had left over, and it was surprising what that did too. So
does it just blow up into a puff cloud?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
It was like throwing a pot of steaming water below -30.
Essentially, yeah, pretty much the same.
Awesome.
So
That's
almost
cool.
identical to that, actually.
Oh yeah, I would imagine probably.
Yeah. So
I think the coolest cloud of anything I've shot was I took a bulk pack of how many pounds is that comes in? It was like the larger, must have been like maybe 2 or 3, maybe a 4 pound or something of construction chalk. Like for a chalk liner.
Yeah.
And we wrapped it up in a box with 10 pounds of tannerite. And then we shot that with I think it was a 300 Win Mag from about 100 meters away, and we filmed it from a drone, and it made a pretty darn big reddish cloud. That's for sure. I used the red chalk, of course, because we did it for Canada Day, so I couldn't use the blue chalk. So
I don't know if you've seen it, but the guys who make those like mod dose tables, like the tack tables, they made these attachments that go on the back of targets that you fill full of chalk, I guess.
Oh.
And it's basically like a super cheap version of those magnetospeed target indicators.
Oh, really?
Because like every time you hit the target,
it just
shoots up like a puff of chalk.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's chalk they use. Maybe it's talcum powder. It's something, but it's like something kind of generic.
Yeah, well, chalk is basically just talc powder. Anyways, there's like, I don't know what it's made of, but
talc powder and color.
Yeah, probably. So let's have Dave introduce himself, because that was a nice 7-minute long introduction for Ryan. I'm Dave. I work with MDT. Hi.
Yeah. I hate electronics.
I'm Dave Gariani, and I don't actually work for MDT, contrary to lots of popular belief. I just shot MDT stuff since well before there was ever an MDT shooting team, and I've been a sponsored shooter for MDT for I guess since the inception of the program, which is, I can't remember, like 18 maybe. But yeah, I've always just enjoyed shooting. And then I randomly went and shot they haven't had it in a bunch of years, but there used to be the BCRA like precision rifle match at the military range at Vokes down in Chilliwack. And I went there one year and met a bunch of people. And one was a buddy of mine who had already started shooting matches in the States, because there was like there was a really well, and still is really well developed network and like series of single day matches in Washington. It used to be called the NWPRL. I think now it's under the PRS umbrella, so it's like PRS Northwest or something like that. Okay. But like really good matches, and so I started going down and shooting with. There's a few of us from BC that were going down and shooting there, and it kind of grew to a bunch of guys. And anyways, I started doing that in 2016. I guess I shot a few one-day matches and made it to their finale, which was a 2-day match, and shot that, and I was pretty much hooked. And then I got really badly hurt in December on a skiing thing. I kind of used to do that for a living. And anyways, when I was recovering,
downhill, I assume.
Yeah, like backcountry, big mountain kind of stuff. And then when I was like healing back up, I could still go and shoot. And like even my mobility was kind of messed up, because I wrecked my knee. I needed a bunch of surgeries, but I was new enough to like that kind of shooting that even though my mobility kind of held me back, I was like learning a ton going to these matches anyways. And that was like really when the whatever you say it, like the hook was like sunk or whatever. Like I was just like, this is rad. I want to keep doing this. And I think I shot my first 2-day PRS match that year in 2017. And there's a ton of matches in the Pacific Northwest, both in that whole kind of like PRS, like what's become the dominant thing in, practical precision rifle, like the PRS type matches, but also lots of like field matches and like 2-man, like team field matches, which are, that's kind of like that's my favorite kind of shooting, to be honest.
Yeah. And
then it just went from there to shooting a lot of PRS matches, a lot of the team field match series there, which was like the Rifleman's Team Challenge. And then I ended up shooting. There was a point a few years back where there weren't any like the whole NRL PRS kind of thing, and the West Coast was mostly NRL matches for like the race gun kind of stuff. So I shot a bunch of that. Went to the finale in 2019, had a good year, went to the finale in 2019, shot pretty well there, minus my last stage, and was really amped for like 2020. And then of course all this like COVID shutdown bullshit and all of that. And then, just kind of shooting in Canada for a year or so, however long. I think I got back into the States in 2021 and shot. And then the NRL was kind of like, that was the end of that. So I shot a couple of PRSs, but I started shooting more like the competition dynamics matches. Which I really like. They're team matches with like all blind stages. There's like a physical component, so you got to run in some of them, and it's like one guy gas gun, one guy bolt gun, just in like rad places like New Mexico and Wyoming. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Like I'll shoot a bunch of PRS too, but my like real passion is shooting those blind like locate range engage field matches.
And then you also went to the World Championships too.
That's right. I went to the World Championships.
No big deal.
In August, which was rad. No, that was awesome, and that is more like it was basically like a straight up PRS style match. Squads and the same layout as any PRS match, where you've got a match booklet, the target ranges, you watch people shoot beforehand and all that, and that was really an awesome experience. You know what I mean? Like the match itself was nothing special, like in terms of, and I say that like we're so spoiled with what we get to shoot venue wise in the States. Like, you go shoot at Blue Ridge in Washington and you're shooting 2 different days at 2 different venues, 360-degree fans throughout the day. Like it's, and some of the locations for the field matches in Wyoming and New Mexico, like it's just next level. And so, the world champs was actually reminiscent, if anybody shot like the Meaford Long Range Challenge that Ryan used to run, where you're basically all on an artillery pad, so it's like maybe 100 meters wide, This was a little bit of a longer line, but it was the same in the sense that you're shooting always in the same direction of fire.
Right.
And you know what I mean? So you're just kind of going from like stage to stage, but always shooting in the same direction of fire. And yeah, it was a well-run match. It was actually quite challenging because there were quite a few small targets, like MOA size targets, and the wind, although it basically did the same thing the whole like 5-ish days of it, what it did was constantly shift from about like 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock.
Oh, perfect.
And so it was always enough that like if you're shooting at like a 1 MOA plate, like it's gonna push you off the side.
Yeah.
And the way that it was like a flat range that they use for artillery as well, I think. So there weren't any berms. So everything was basically targets on sawhorses. So if you're missing and you're not seeing your trace, like you're seeing your splash 100, 200 yards down range, and it might not be giving you the information that you needed to make that correction. So it was definitely like a challenging match. And the way they had it set up was your squads. There was never like two people from the same country in a squad. So you met people from all these different countries. And that was like, honestly, that was probably the coolest thing about it, was just like meeting all these different people from different countries that like have this thing in common, like shooting precision rifles competitively. And unsurprisingly, basically got along with everybody. You know, everybody kind of sees things similarly, although it is funny because like everybody does kind of like normalize the rules where they're at. And like my consideration of normal rules for guns is like being in the States. And so you talk to some people in Europe and, you know, they're like, or the Aussies, and they're like, oh yeah, I have to ask permission from the government to buy a new gun. And I'm like, that's retarded.
Yeah.
Like we can talk, Dave.
No, we can't talk. Our government is just constantly stepping on our neck, and it's ridiculous. But like, you know what I mean? Like, people tend to normalize like whatever they're used to dealing with, especially if they're not exposed to other ways. And like, so, and even there's like tons of countries that have like pretty reasonable gun laws, like a lot of the Scandinavian ones. And then I'd talk in there, but there'd be some things that they like. It's like, well, you can't have a gun in your vehicle unless you're literally driving to go hunting or to the range. I'm like you can't have a gun in your truck like every day. They're like, no. I was like, interesting concept.
It's weird, like nobody's got it right. They've all got their own weird shit in different areas.
Exactly.
You'd think that if it was actually for safety, that there would be some sort of universality to some of these laws, hey?
No, like, I mean, the Brits have terrible rules. They literally have to like ask, like type up like a reason to buy a new gun and like ask for permission and like blah, blah, blah. But they can go and buy suppressors wherever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a lot, or it's even mandatory in certain areas for hunting in Europe.
Totally, which makes a ton of sense. I mean, I'd love to have a can. It'd be rad.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I use a can for pretty much everything short of like straight up PRS matches, I think, just because like a break does a bit better on the recoil than a can. But like for 90% of stuff, like a can is just awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
I gotta switch gears here and throw us off the rails by asking Ryan a question, or rather asking a question through David Walcott, who quite a while ago wanted to know, on an unrelated note, what is the difference between Mac, MAC, and Mick, MSC? Is it a difference between Scots and Irish? Ryan, do you know the answer to that question?
I don't know, man. I'm Scottish, so I just go with the way my name has always been spelled. So I have no idea.
Do you know what the MC and MAC is for, like in a surname, what it means?
No idea.
It's like you know how the Scandinavians have like Edmondson or like they always have like son, or even some of them have like daughter on the end of their name. Like Mick and Mac are the same thing for Gaelic people, you know, Irish and Scottish people. It literally means like son of. So somewhere along the line, one of your ancestors was the son of some dude named Leon.
I see. Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know.
Is there a difference between MC and MAC, like the one is the son and one is the daughter, or is it both?
No, from what I understand, it's just an abbreviation that like is mostly Irish, but apparently you see it in Scots as well.
Okay, so that's why the L in my name is capitalized, and that's likely why that is then. Okay.
Yeah, because it means literally son of Leon, or however the frickin' Gaels would have pronounced Leon or lean or
Okay.
whatever. Yeah. There you go.
Cool.
Well, I don't know why he asked that question, and I don't know why I knew the answer. Let's move on. Hey,
Learn
Dave,
something new every day.
you learn something new every day. What are you shooting right now, Dave, for competition?
Like what caliber?
Tell us everything, including the chassis, on a completely unrelated
So
purpose.
So for your typical kind of PRS match, actually for most matches, I like to shoot 6 Creed, just because you can run it slower, like not much faster than something like a Dasher or a BRA, but you can use factory ammo if you want to. It feeds well, like yada yada yada. I've shot 6 Creed for a long time, so I've got a lot of different setups with 6 Creed. Because what I tend to do is I tend to swap barrels back and forth from actions like all the time. Like I'll practice with a 6.5 and put on a 6 for a match, and practice with a 2.23 and then put on a 6, and like play musical chassis and musical barrels and actions and whatever. What I'm running for a chassis now on my comp gun is the new MDT ACC Elite. I just swapped everything over to a couple of those a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And I'm really, I mean, it's cool because it's just like, I've shot an ACC since its inception, like, which was 2018 maybe.
Yeah, it was around 2018.
And then the ACC Elite, it better integrates everything that was developed for the ACC after the fact, if that makes sense. So like, it just feels like, because all of the accessories, like think Baker wings and like everything basically was like developed after the ACC, what was the ACC and is now the ACC Premier came out. So like all these add-ons, but they integrate perfectly with the new Elite because, its development, happened when those accessories basically already existed. And just like the small tweaks to it are, it just feels like a really, really refined ACC, if that makes sense. And
so is it fair to say that it's really just like an update for all of the new additions and toys and everything else that you can put on it, or are there other functional differences with it?
I mean, Ryan's the best guy to speak to that, but like in terms of functional differences, like I would definitely say it's more of a refined version of the original ACC. Like it has its own proprietary things that are, but even those are just like kind of things that the ACC has, but done better because it was like planned integrally as opposed to like added on. Like you can look at something like the night vision hood, for instance. On the ACC, it was thought up after the fact, like after consideration, and so it mounts to the M-LOK slots on the side of the chassis. If you look at the ACC Elite, it actually mounts down onto, like there's threaded inserts on the walls of the chassis, so the NV hood screws down onto the top. So it's a lot easier to take off, so that you can swap out, pull your action out of the chassis if need be to swap barrels or whatever. And it just kind of like it interfaces more seamlessly than the original, which was like came up after the fact to add a capability that wasn't really like considered during the inception of the original ACC. And I mean, and yeah, there's definitely a few like really nice refinements. Like the new buttstock is awesome.
Yeah, I noticed it's got a bottom bar on it that attaches to the grip, right?
Yeah, and like and again, Ryan can speak better to this, but that's really supposed to increase the rigidity by basically linking the chassis body better to the stock. But if you even just look at the adjustments, for instance, on the stock, like the ACC Premier has either thumb screws, or you could replace the thumb screws with like little grub screws to adjust to set your length of pull and your cheek height and the height of your cheek rest and all that. The new one, you basically like loosen off the little thumb wheel, and then you can just push in and just adjust it to where you want, and then you just crank it back down. So it's like super fast to adjust and super seamless. It's just, yeah, it's like, and I mean, is that going to make a gigantic difference in your life? Like maybe not, but it's just like, it's just more refined, if that makes sense, you know?
Well, if you don't have an ACC elite and you don't hit your target, it's because you didn't have an ACC elite.
Pretty much.
So one of the analogies of one of our team guys basically put it like the ACC Premier, or the original ACC, was like a dirt track car, like race car. The new elite is like a stock car, yeah. The new elite is the F1. So the big focus on it was making it stiffer, a lot of rigidity, adding more material in areas that it needed more material. You know, we made an adjustable mag latch, which is baller, and have had a ton of comments on that part of it. You know, we made everything on the chassis adjustable with a 1/8 Allen or a T10 Torx. Yeah, everything on the stock is that, except for your action screws, and they actually they are in your buttstock with magnets, so you can pull them out there. You always have them with you on the gun. Yeah, we just went through and basically took all the input and comments and everything that people had given us over the last couple of years and implemented it into this chassis. You know, there was a lot of testing. We technically released it last year at SHOT Show, and then continued another 7 months of testing before we released it for production. So it's pretty awesome. That the connector bar on the back of it, stiffening everything up, we raised the buttstock as high as we could to get the inline recoil. Really focused on that recoil impulse, you know, and we also have our dampener systems, which is like a rubber inserts that go into the buttstock. We double them the gel. Yeah, we just started getting them in, so we're good. I'll get you some, Dave. I might know a guy.
The whole refinement aspect of it makes a ton of sense too, because if you think about it, like, I want to say the ACC was kind of one of the first, if not the first, like, of the chassis built for comps, made to accept weights. Like, if you look at a lot of the different brands, you know, that have comp chassis now, like, a lot of the aspects, and it's not saying MDT invented like everything or whatever, because like all of these things have been evolutions of past designs, but like there's kind of a look, a design to how a comp chassis is now. You know what I mean? You have a flat bottom with an integrated ARCA rail. You have the means of putting internal weights. You have the means of putting external weights. Like, and a lot of those things like kind of started with the ACC, or did start with the ACC. So
the longer fore end was a big part of that too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So how much heavier is the Elite than the ACC? Like the regular ACC?
Half a pound? How much more, Dave? Half a pound, is it?
If you weigh an ACC Premier with, hold on a sec, I actually got the weights because I was weighing everything the other day. I do that kind of stuff because I like to play like musical chassis and stuff, and I like to know how much my thing is going to weigh. So like if I'm setting it up for NRL Hunter, I can make whatever weight I want. If I'm setting it up for like Birth Optics Team Challenge, I want to have a 16-pound gun. I want to have a heavier gun for Team Safari, etc. So like I like to know how.
While you're looking that up, Dave, I feel like we're treading on dangerous ground by asking Dan's question here, because this could go south at any moment. But he's asking, if you had to put a number on it, how much stiffer would you say it is? 30%, 45%? All I'm thinking is this is the title of Dan's sex tape. But is there any sort of answer there, Ryan?
I can't remember what the exact numbers are on it. In the released video, there is a chart that they flash. If you pause it, you can look at it and see. And we show the stiffness increase in the forend and in the buttstock.
And that's on your guys' YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I've got those weights. I've got those weights.
Go for it, Dave. Yeah.
So the ACC Premier, the way that it ships, so with the heavy butt pad, but no grip, so you can put whatever grip you want on it. I've got as 5 pounds 9 ounces, and the ACC Elite the same way, like, so with the butt stock but no grip is 6 pounds 1 ounce.
Okay, sorry, difference of
7 ounces.
7 ounces. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
so, 8 ounces, which is exactly half a pound.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Really,
so
that's
it
it.
sounds.
Okay.
Yeah, we took all that time just to get to your original answer. I love it.
So Shane says the Elite is like a 20-year-old. The ACC is closer to Roosters. So is he saying that I'm lighter? I don't think that's what he's saying.
A 20-year-old what, Shane?
Right.
I never noticed a large beard with shoulder arthritis on the regular ACC.
Yeah.
It's a
And a
hidden
really
feature.
poor disposition.
Yeah. I got a question for you here, Ryan. I got 2 MDT videos showcasing the ACC Elite. One was 3 weeks ago. The other one was 7 days ago. Which one has that clip on it that you want? The 2-minute one or the 23-minute one?
Oh, great. It's the 2-minute one likely, but watch them both.
Yeah, I'll send links to both in the chat for everybody.
Yeah, the first one was just the release video. It's like, flashy, and the second one was it was Josh Botha, who was the main designer on the chassis, basically going from front to back and doing a really detailed breakdown of the whole system. It's really good. So
perfect. So for everybody, the link that I just put in there, that is the release video. That's your teaser. That's your fluffer video. And I am almost going to, here we go. There's your in-depth link right there. Hey, where's the, obviously it's not on the MDT channel. What channel is your ice cold rifle video on?
it's on the MDT channel. Yeah.
Yeah, the email just went out.
I think it's like, I think it's like deep freeze or something. I don't remember what they called it.
something chill.
Or chilled. So yeah.
There it is. Can a rifle survive dry ice?
Okay.
Apparently that's what they titled it. I'm just for everybody who's interested in it, I'm going to drop that link as well. So that's the dry ice video, -57. Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the ACC Elite. So now you did announce that last year at SHOT Show, right? Like, I'm not dreaming that. That was the one that was set up in the middle of the room that everybody was drooling over the entire time.
Yep.
So what's big and new going to be announced at this SHOT Show?
So the big thing at this SHOT Show is going to be our electronic trigger, which we did release a bit of a teaser last winter around that. We have a 700 footprint based electronic trigger that is pretty freaking awesome. That we'll have a full setup. We'll have a bunch of chassis set up with that, or a rifle set up with that people can test out, and that's the big one for this year. A couple other products now that are finally getting to market that we've been working on and refining a little more. We have the field stock, the Orcs field stock. J. Allen's are now shipping as well. A handful of things like that. The couple of things I can't talk about that'll get released there.
A couple things that you can't talk about, not just one.
Well, there's one thing at least. Anyway.
Okay. You got
anyway,
we'll catch up to you at SHOT there. And get that for you.
It's not as it's cool, but it's not like crazy cool. So it's yeah. So I don't want to overbuild it. I don't want to overbuild it because it is still cool. So.
Well, you know what? Don't worry about that, because no matter how it is, we'll just make it sound super impressive.
Awesome.
Yeah. So last year, one of the big deals that you guys brought out last year was the ground pod.
Yep.
How has that worked out for you guys for the last year?
It's been very popular. Very, very popular. We're working on a few little things with it right now that have just come up over the time. Little updates, but nothing major on that. But it's been a very popular option for us. We do actually have another bipod coming out that we'll be showing. That is actually another. And that one's going to be a budget bipod, like in the $100 range.
Really?
So yeah, it's a pretty slick design. The guys have done an awesome job on it. So that will be there to show off as well, but that's probably about 6 months out from being into production.
Okay.
Have you guys played with the ground pod?
I haven't played with one on a rifle. I only got to play with the one that was at SHOT last year in the booth.
It's a really nice bipod. Like, I mean, I compared. I've had one for a while, and I compared it to, like the Magpul bipod and the just stuff that was like kind of close in price wise. And then I've got like, I mean, I run Skypods a ton now, and I love those, but obviously like the price isn't comparable. But I've got like Harris's that I used to use, but with like the RRS adapter, so you can do pick and ARCA, and then like spike feet and all that kind of stuff. And you start kind of getting up there in price as well. And like comparatively, I'd say I prefer the ground pod to both definitely to the Magpul and also to just like a kind of done up Harris.
I do remember last year at SHOT Show, obviously I was at the MDT booth, but then over at the Magpul booth, and I was with Ryan at MDT first, and then I went over to the Magpul booth, and so I had seen the ground pod, and then I was kind of just comparing it to Magpul's. I forget what do they even call theirs?
I don't know.
The Magpul polymer 2 sticks, it was there's a significant difference between the two, and I can say that just objectively. The Magpul one had a lot more flex in it that you didn't necessarily want than the ground pod did. I remember that was probably the biggest thing that stuck out to me.
Totally.
Between the two of them.
And the weights are real comparable. Also, I don't know if I wrote down the weight for the Magpul, but like a ground pod set up for pick is like, it's just under a pound, and
right, which
is a little bit less than like a done up Harris with like the RRS bits and like Atlas adapters and spikes. And I want to say the Magpul was like, it was a little bit lighter than the ground pod, but like like a 1/10 of a pound or something like that. So not a ton of weight, but the ground pod just feels a lot nicer. It's a lot.
Well, and that Harris, by the time you do all that adding onto it, it's over $300 for that damn thing.
Kidding, yeah.
Oh yeah, I know, dude. Like they got expensive, but I mean that was like back in 2016, 2017. That was like the jam,
100%. Yeah.
Here's a question about the ground pod. If you get, for example, the Picatinny model, can it be retrofitted with the ARCA head?
We don't sell a retrofit, but technically it is the same body.
Ryan, can you talk about the arms? Are like the arms heads? Is that because that's going to be an MDT thing, not just Brownells now?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I don't know when it's coming out, but yeah, it will be.
Because that's probably going to be your best option. Like you can get them already through Brownells, and I've kind of wanted one for a while. But like you get a ground pod with like it's like called the ARM 17 standard configuration, and
interface. It's an interface.
Interface, yeah. And so basically, like you can buy tons of different ARCA or pick, and like RRS makes one that does ARCA and pick that fit that interface. So you can set it up to do both basically, which is like other than my Magpul and my ground pod, I've got everything set up so that it can go on pick or ARCA, so that way it works on like all your rifles.
It's just a simple head that has like 2 holes in it with a couple blocks that allow everything to lock in properly. So.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's not some like new great thing that's going to overtake ARCA, is it?
No. So it's a base. Yeah, it's a military standard. It's just called it's like ARMS 17. So
is it okay?
Yeah, ARMS, a company that make rings and all sorts of stuff, but they just made that standard at one point, and and like now there's tons of different companies that make attachment systems that fit that interface, like ADM and RRS and
Gray Ops 419. A bunch of them.
Because it's the same. You can get Atlases with that same interface, or maybe all Atlases have that interface.
Yeah, they do. That's what they come with standard, and then we sell a Skypod with it as well. So
okay. Yeah. Does the I actually just don't know this question, and now that I'm looking at it on the website, it's coming up for whatever reason. Is the ground pod only available in the one color scheme, the green and black?
Yes, currently it is.
Currently it is. Okay.
Or you can get
you're laughing like people don't like that. I think it looks fine. I just had the question. Like, are you guys getting feedback about it, or?
Well, no. There's always people asking for the black version, and it will come eventually. The issue is we actually can't even keep those green ones in stock. So
so clearly it's not a problem.
Yeah, it was basically said by our owner that as soon as we can get green ones in stock, keep them in stock, we will make black ones. So,
and if you really want a different color, you can get one from Brownells, and it can like sit at CBSA for 6 months or something, because Brownells sell an FDE one.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, but FDE is overdone. It's overdone.
You can just use a rattle can. I mean, geez, it's a gun.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. So I got to go back to a comment that was made, like basically at the beginning of the show, and I forgot about it. Now I was just reminded for whatever reason. Patton was asking you to talk about you creating some sort of organization, Ryan.
Yeah. So there is 4 of us now that are involved with it, and it's between Dave Gariani, myself, Josh Botha, and Yannick. What's Yannick's last name? I can't remember. Dave.
French. Yannick.
Yannick's all you need. Like, that's a power name on its own.
I look on my phone, but I'm like talking on my phone, and I don't know how to like also go and look at his name. Damn it, Yannick. I can't remember.
Yannick PRS. Yeah. Anyway, Yannick from Quebec. Everybody will know who he is if you shoot.
Got it.
So,
so what is the organization?
I can't remember actually what it's. Do you remember the actual letters, Dave?
Again, something I need to look at on my phone. Hold on, let me I've got my computer here.
Dave's gonna log off.
Bye,
Dave. 3, 2, 1.
My computer, I've got multiple whatever things.
Dan Castillo.
And the worst part is this is why we came on to talk to you, was about this.
Yeah.
And we can't even remember the name of it ourselves.
Is it Capra?
We apologize. Capra? Yeah, I think that's what it is.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good work, Dan.
Thank you.
Canadian Association of Precision Rifle Associations?
Exactly.
Is that actually it? You have association in there twice?
No.
Okay, good.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
We're just that kind of organization.
Okay, so what does CAPRA actually stand for?
Where is my email? Hold on, half a second.
I feel like we should have an interlude.
No, I can get this. We can do. Here we go. I can do.
I'm guessing the P and the R is precision rifle.
Yes.
And the C is probably Canadian.
Where is that thing?
Canadians about precision rifle ass kickery. Calling all precision rifle aficionados. That's what it is.
Where is Josh?
Okay.
Sorry, guys, I'm driving. I'd be looking as well, but I'm driving. So
Dan thinks that the C
Dan's
and the A,
right.
He thinks it's Canadian Precision Rifle Association, but the C and the A are capitalized.
Yeah, I believe that's what it is as well.
That was unnecessarily difficult.
Dan is assuming, but it sounds like he's probably right.
Yeah, I believe that is correct.
I feel like we should.
Dave's in the back.
We're not really concerned about the name. It's just
It is.
Okay,
it is
you tell us about the.
So there are 2 A's.
Okay.
Although the CA is just for Canadian, because it's Canadian Precision Rifle Association.
Okay,
yes.
So Dan was right. Okay.
So we don't have association twice, although that would be kind of funny.
I think you should. I think from now on, that's what CAPRA stands for.
Canadian Association of Precision Rifle Associations.
Yes. 100%. Okay, tell us about CAPRA. What's the deal with CAPRA?
You want
Dave? Do you want to start? Yeah, I'll let you take it.
So basically what it was is, I mean, yeah, I went to the Worlds this year, but we didn't really have a Canadian team per se. I mean, and there's a lot of reasons for that. There's only like 2 of us that went. There's a lot of organizational things as to like whether the match was going to happen. It moved venues like 3 or 4 times since it was originally announced, which was actually pre-COVID, I want to say. And anyways, we didn't really have a national body set up to select a team and send guys there. And, you know, obviously all the other countries that did. And we're kind of in a different, we're in a funny kind of unique position in Canada with regards to Precision Rifle Association, or with regards to precision rifle shooting competitively, because we share a gigantic border with the States that is like the mecca of precision rifle shooting. So we get to piggyback off of all of their infrastructure. And as much as it's rad shooting matches in Canada, we just don't have the facilities and the ease of hosting matches that they do. We can't run the stuff that they do. So pretty quickly, the high-end guys, or the guys that are really into it, are ducking across the border a lot to shoot matches. And I want to say that's probably why we've never had anything evolve in Canada, like a national association for PRSE kind of stuff. You know, there's been province things. You know, we've got the BCPRL in BC and Alberta. They've got a couple of them. You know, they've got the Saprol guys and the Wild Rose guys, and then there's the guys in Ontario, and Quebec guys run some matches out of Alberta and all that. But it's never kind of coalesced into a national level thing, because there really wasn't any particular reason to, you know. And what we decided after the Worlds was that it kind of behooves us to put together a national organization so that we could field the full team, because, I mean, we're very competitive in this stuff, like on a world level. So we ought to be fielding a full team in open and in TAC and Mill LEO, et cetera, et cetera. So this was us basically coming together and being like, okay, well, we need to make this happen. We need to have a team put together, and it's still kind of short notice there's the Rimfire PRS Worlds are going to be in Italy this August, and that's kind of short, you know, that's relatively short notice with regards to starting up an organization, but we are working on a selection process for that. We have, you know, people are making submissions, applying to be on the team for that. And it's really giving us also like a head start at really being able to put together a good team and get a lot of support behind sending the team to the 2024 Centerfire Worlds, which is in South Africa.
Oh, okay, cool. So it is kind of like who was it saying that Mike was saying it's all the precision rifle associations under one banner, kind of like creating it so you can create a Canadian team essentially.
Yeah. It's not. It really hasn't been about like bringing all the match directors together. Now that will be ideally a part of it eventually, but that it has not been the focus, because the main focus has been getting a team put together as quickly as we can with the short amount of time that we have.
And the best we can.
Yeah, exactly. And the best team that we can put together. And with the size of the country we have and the amount of matches we have spread across the country, there's not many people that can go, you know, and shoot in Ontario, go shoot in BC, go shoot in Alberta all in the same year. It just doesn't happen. We needed to have a selection process to make sure that we can, you know, go through and basically a lot of the selection this year off of past performance. Luckily, there's been quite a bit of rimfire stuff happening in Canada in the last couple of years with COVID going on, because we couldn't go across the border. And that's why we started up the Northern Rimfire Series in Ontario, is because we couldn't get on the military bases and we couldn't go and shoot in the States. So it drove us to do that because we wanted to still shoot. So we have a very strong rimfire team, rimfire group of shooters here in Canada right now that should be able to field a very good team going to the going to Italy this year. So it's pretty exciting to see. We've already got quite a few people applying for it. You know, and it's a split between open shooters, which is a general term, basically, you know, race guns, of anything goes. You know, factory guns, which there's a list of those, but it's very open, much more open than what we've seen in North America for open guns, or sorry, for factory guns. And then we have ladies, juniors, and senior as well. So the open is six spots, and then the other ones are four spots for each.
So it kind of is a Canadian Association of Precision Rifle Associations.
It kind of is. It kind of is, except for the thing is that as
you guys can use that name. Like, I don't even want any royalties. Like, you can just use it.
we just might. I mean, the way we're doing things too, though, is like, as it stands, we don't really have any plans on running any matches under the kind of the umbrella. Like, it's really more about having a set of criteria to put together a team and then working to get support to ease the financial burden on the guys who do want to, or who do qualify for the team and want to go shoot these things. Because like coming back to like the big reason why we had a small amount of representation in the Worlds this year in France was because it was pretty short notice. And there's not a lot of guys that have the ability to book that much time off work, that short notice, and foot a relatively large bill, or that have the kind of sponsorship in place to help cover those kind of expenses. And like, I'm really lucky in that I'm really well supported by my sponsors. And so that was a huge part in making it possible for me to go to the Worlds this year. And so what we want to do is kind of, by legitimizing this under a national level organization, is make it so we can bring in outside help and hopefully even like from outside of the gun industry to help some guys and make it so that we can get guys that qualify on their merits, but that might not be able to like entirely foot the bill or need help. You know what I mean?
You're creating an NSB. You're creating a national sport body.
Pretty much.
Precisely. Yeah.
I think that's actually a really cool idea. I mean, that's how sports get legitimized. You have NSBs underneath the NSBs. Eventually, you have PSBs or PSOs, provincial sport organizations, whatever you want to call them. And then eventually you attach to an international body. And obviously, like, you're already doing that because you're using the association to bring a Canadian team to Worlds in South Africa.
Well, and interestingly enough, if you look at the genesis of the IPRF, which is the International Precision Rifle Federation, one of the big pushes for that, and one of the big reasons that the big push for it was from outside of North America, is precisely because of those like national sporting boards, like you were saying, or whatever the NFP is, because a lot of those countries lack legitimacy for firearm-related sports, so they wanted to legitimize it and get it under a national umbrella, in order to be able to basically, guarantee that they can keep doing what they've been doing. And ironically enough, there wasn't much of a push for that out of North America because the States, I mean, have pretty well enshrined gun rights. And at the time of it, in Canada, we had stupid laws, but not nearly as stupid as they've become in the last 2 years. You know what I mean? So we'd never have been particularly worried about legitimizing things like at a governmental level, but like obviously now it makes more and more sense.
So first of all, super smart idea. And second of all, I'm going to relay a bit of a story as to why I think it's such a smart idea. So my primary industry is in fighting sports and martial arts. And, back in 2013, the government decided to change their interpretation of the definition of prize fighting under the criminal code. And overnight, essentially, by reclassifying that interpretation, most combat sports across the country of Canada became illegal overnight. And now there were exceptions created for organizations that are attached to provincial bodies, which are attached to national bodies, which are attached to international bodies. And what essentially happened, Quebec had some hiccups, but Ontario was the most on it. And right away, they already had some provincial bodies, so they just lobbied the government for recognition under national bodies. They got recognized under IFMA, International what is it, International Martial Arts Fighting Association or something like that. And next thing you know, combat sports like Muay Thai, kickboxing, all of those sorts of things are extremely healthy, and coming even more into the mainstream in provinces like Ontario. Now you contrast that to Saskatchewan, who, because of a bunch of political infighting, in my opinion, to this day still hasn't got a provincial sport body recognized by the government, and we haven't had a full contact combat sport, amateur combat sport competition in this province since 2015, when when they started enforcing these rules. And so relate this to the shooting sports. I think that there are a lot of parallels. Anything that has anything to do with violence, right, or can be seen to have anything to do with violence. And I think there's a lot of similarities there. And I think in a lot of ways, the gun industry is still like kind of like Saskatchewan. You know what I mean? Haven't quite got that organization for what governments consider legitimacy. And it's causing us problems when it comes to exceptions being made for Olympic sports, blah 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 blah. And now, like, because it sounds like you guys are starting to play catch up now, right? Like you're taking the steps towards legitimizing with a national body.
Yeah, and I mean, and what I saw in Europe is that there's a lot of countries where what you can own and how much you can own and what you can do is very much determined by how legitimate the government decides that kind of shooting is. So like if you have a license for, and I mean, I can't think of any really good examples offhand, but in some of the countries, if you have a sports shooting license, then you can own, gas guns and full capacity magazines because that's for your sport. But if you don't, you can't have that. And like, yada, yada, yada. Yep. And I mean, it's interesting because, again, spending so much time in the States, like I'm much more of an absolutist. Like we should be allowed to own everything, but we're at where we're at, and if what it takes to survive and grow as a sport is to get some kind of legitimacy from the government, then that's definitely not it's not a bad path.
It sounds quite a bit like what Perry DeGovia from South Africa. We had him on a while ago.
He was at the Worlds. Perry was there.
Yeah. I bet he's part of that. Well, he's the part of the South African Precision Rifle Federation, as well as the International Precision Rifle Federation, right?
Yeah.
Right.
He was telling us about the laws in South Africa about being connected to those associations.
Yeah, and they had those sport-specific laws. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So.
Well, and I think that, like, ultimately, all shooting sports are going to have to go in that direction. It's just the writing is on the wall, right?
Or they just won't exist. I mean,
they just won't exist. Exactly.
Like, it's like you get exemptions for shooting Olympic pistol, which I don't know, like 7 people do, but you can't get a new pistol to shoot IPSC or IDPA or anything. I mean, the last time I went down to the States to shoot a match was when all of the new stupid rules had come in, and like you needed to get a new ATT, which I got at one point to take your pistol to the border and back. I'd done that for one match, but when I went down in October, that's when you also needed to get like the import, whatever, you had to basically pay an import fee to re-import your thing, and I didn't realize you could get the ATTs online, so I spent like a week trying to call in and never got through. And finally said, screw it, called one of my buddies down in Montana and was like, dumb question, but I'm assuming you have a Glock. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, can I just borrow it for the match? Because like I shoot a Glock anyways, and like I'll bring down a holster. And he's like, yeah, of course, I got one in my truck. And I was like, all right, we're good to go. It's like easier to borrow a pistol than bring my own,
What's really interesting, I don't think that the Olympics ever make a sport better. In fact, I can't think of a single example where once a sport body has petitioned the Olympics that it was actually good for the sport,
it's where
or rather the athletes, like the people competing in the sport. But what it does, and even provisional status, just being looked at by the Olympics, brings legitimacy from governments.
And just from like the general public that's uninformed, has no interest and not care about that
exactly. Exactly. Because I can tell you right now, like Olympic boxing is nothing compared to professional boxing. Olympic judo is shite compared to, traditional judo. But they gave them legitimacy. It's the reason that karate and taekwondo still exist, because I don't think anybody would be practicing it if they weren't in the Olympics.
I mean, and with regards to like it legitimizing it for just like your average person who's not plugged into the firearms world, like where I live is like pretty hard left leaning, and like I'll bitch and moan about new gun laws and this and that, and people I'll talk to be like, well, yeah, but it's totally okay for you to have like that kind of thing, but I just don't want like other random people to have it. I'm like, but I'm random people to other people, like
exactly. Yeah. But if you go to somebody who asks you, well, what do you need those guns for? Well, Olympics.
Well, totally. And like, it's like people that I was like, oh, I went to the World Championships. Like, oh, that's amazing. But if I was like, I went to I just want to go shoot this for fun. Like, well, nobody needs that.
Yeah. Right. And it's hard, man. Cause that's if gun sports went that way in Canada, it would absolutely be a double-edged sword.
100% it would be. Yeah, I mean, like, again, like I'm about as much of an absolutist as you can get. Like, for me, like every gun law in Canada is a terrible thing. Like, I'd be okay with like the very simple concept of licensing, like having to take the dumb test and get your PAL or whatever, if it didn't come like with the whole like opening yourself up to warrantless searches of your house, which is just shatteringly, I can't even begin to comprehend how that's a thing for owning guns, not for criminals.
Or being tracked more stringently by the government than sex predators are.
Exactly.
I was just going to say
there is that.
Like, none of it makes any sense, and to me, like it should all go away. But I'm also like a realist, and like the only way it all goes away is like I get in my truck and drive to like Montana or Wyoming.
Yeah. Okay, there were a couple of questions about Capra. Some of them serious, some not so much. Bending wants to know, with this association, would Canada still come in second place? He's in Kentucky, obviously. He's
yes,
American.
Most likely, yes.
Okay.
For realists as well.
Although the Norwegians and the Swedes can shoot.
Yeah. So we're just getting all of Bending's questions out of the way first, I guess, here. He also wants to know, South Africa next year, will Pete compete with Canada or South Africa? Peter Milan, obviously.
I don't
South
know.
Africa. I don't think he will compete either way, but yeah.
Yeah.
No.
He wouldn't compete either way. Why not?
I don't know for sure.
As far as like the criteria that we've made up for, or that we are making up for competing for Canada, like there's things are going to be weighted with regards to match, like the level of challenge of the matches. And one of the things we're going to be doing is heavily weighting U.S. matches, just because, again, the way that we're looking at what we're doing is we're trying to put together the best team that we can and increase the skill level. And there's just no question, like if you shot matches in the States, like the field is deeper, the matches are harder. And it's like if you want to go compete on the international stage, but you don't want to hop across the border to go shoot like the best matches in the world, there's a little bit of a disconnect there, like.
Yeah, 100%. Like I don't want to put down the matches in Canada, but the match quality, like the target arrays, the props, the management, the running of them is all done equally as well. It comes down to the shooters that are down in the U.S. They have 10 years on us for competitive shooting, and even in the last 4 years. The amount of, a guy 3 years ago could have been placing in the top 20. Now, if he hasn't increased his skill level, he's probably 50th very quickly.
You're just in a deeper pool down south. Like there's just not two ways about it. And as much as the matches that we run up here are actually, they go off really well. They're great matches. They're a lot of fun. They're well run. The courses of fire are good. We just don't draw as big and as deep a pool as you do in the States. And it just goes without saying that like competing against better shooters just breeds better shooters. Like that's just how you get better, is exposure to more better shooters. So
absolutely. Yeah. Okay. First serious question from Patton. Is there going to be a Canadian point system?
No.
Nope.
So I was going to ask earlier, like, what does I guess application and selection look like for you guys' association of associations.
Which lends into the next question: how does one apply for the said Rimfire
There
team?
you go.
Okay, so we'll have to put up a link or something, right, Ryan? Because we have like you can apply right now for the Rimfire Worlds.
Yeah. If you go onto our Facebook page, there is a link on there. I believe it's pinned at the top. That you can go and apply. It's a Google form. Just fill it out and send it in.
Are you saying Capra has a Facebook page?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look it up here, and then I'll put the link. Sorry, carry on.
And that's for the Rimfire Worlds, and basically like it's asking you for your, what is it, Ryan? Your five best match finishes in the last 2 years.
Yeah, some of that effect. It's asking for a bunch of your finishes. Asks you for what series it was in. A link to practice score so we can see it, confirm it, whatever. And basically just that kind of idea. Obviously this is not a cheap trip, and we can't guarantee we're going to have sponsorship for it. Obviously that's the ideal situation. We will, and making sure that people can take the time off, can pay for it themselves, because we don't have any money. So
yeah, as an organization, Capra has no money, and I mean, the way we've been talking about it now too is if sponsorship comes in, it was more of an idea of connecting sponsors with shooters so that they can work something out, as opposed to like Capra taking in contributions of whatever sort and then redistributing them. That's not how we're doing things, at least as of now.
Right. So just for everybody following, the Facebook page is the acronym CAPRA, Capra.
That's right.
I've put the link in our chat. Their very first post has that Google form that Ryan was just talking about, and I've put that link directly in the chat as well.
Awesome. And then as for like a point system and all that for the Centerfire Worlds, we've been talking a lot about it. Like it'd be nice if there was a really simple
multiplier
equation that you could put in some kind of an algorithm where you punch in your match finishes and like it spits out a number, but it's just kind of more complex than that. And that's why we've made a point of having like basically like East Coast, West Coast representation, like Yannick in Quebec, myself and Ryan and Josh out west, because the reality too is that like the guys that are shooting a lot of matches have their finger on the pulse of who's shooting and what the level of competition at a certain match is, who showed up and this and that. And so we're going to have like a rough means of weighing these matches. I don't know that it's going to be something like set out in stone. It's a pretty complicated thing to put together. And we're also going to want to be talking with a lot of the match directors too, just to get their feedback on it. But the reality is, like, we know it's a pretty small community. Guys know who's shooting well, who's not shooting well, like who should, you know what I mean? Because like you can look at some of the matches and be like, well, I got a third place at this match, and you're like, yeah, well, there was 10 people there, and it was the same weekend as a match in the States. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like the point is to put together a really good team, and like there's no way that there's not going to be some people who bitch and moan. Like that's just kind of always how it is. But we're doing our best to just really put together the best, the most competitive team that we can. And yeah, that's kind of the plan. Like there's a method to the madness, and whether we like formally outline that or not, I mean, I imagine we'll put something, all right, Ryan, like but basically we're going to be weighing, US 2-day matches higher than most, and there'll be like a kind of like a sequence of this match is worth more than that match, or this type of match is worth more than that type of match, and so on and so forth. And
on the Centerfire side of it too, the way we've laid it out is that we do have the applications open till the end of January here
for Rimfire.
And then for Rimfire, and then for the Rimfire, once those applications are in and we start our team selection, we will plan to have some like wild card positions basically that will be left open for people that are still shooting into this year, and we'll have those wild card positions. The plan is right now to have them selected by early June, like the first week of June, so there's still time for planning for them. The match takes place the last week of August, first week of September, and it's a week long, gaps over that. And the way it lays out, they haven't figured out exactly how many days it's going to be because they don't know the exact numbers that are going to be coming. Now will determine how many people they can shoot per day. The France match was what, 4 days? Was it, Dave?
It was 6 days if you count like check in, sign in, check zero, yada yada. That was like day one, and then there was like 4 days of competition because there was on day one and day three you had Mill LEO seniors. I want to say it was
TAC.
Mill LEO seniors and TAC. That's right. Or well, no, sorry. Sorry. Mill LEO seniors and TAC on days 1 and 3, and then 2 and 4 was open and ladies. I can't remember where juniors were, to be honest. There was only a few. I think they were on 2 and 4 as well. But anyway, so you had 4 days of competition because you'd only shoot every second day, and then the last day was the tiebreakers were needed, and medal ceremony, etc.
Right. I've got a couple more questions here. I'm going to try to get through real quick. This is a weird one. Jeff says, "Hey Rooster, I got a question for you. I've seen some YouTube shorts about handguns being shipped to the States from getting destroyed in Canada." There's no actual question there, Jeff. So if you want to, I'm assuming
we know what he's getting at. Yeah.
He's asking if it's true. I'm guessing, right? If it's accurate.
I did answer him in the chat, but
did you? Okay.
Yeah, like I said to him, I haven't heard of any such thing, but I can't see that happening. Our government or any of the border agencies, I cannot see that.
Like
ever.
Exporting pistols from Canada to the States. Oh yeah, right. No, it's happened.
Is it?
I know. Yeah.
No,
yeah,
legally.
No, legally. Yeah, legally. I know some people that have legally exported their pistols. Like they go and they, for instance, they might spend half the year in Arizona or something like that, and so they've exported their pistols and ARs, etc. And those legally reside in the States, and so they're not going to get stolen and smelted or whatever.
I didn't even think of that, but even if you had said that to me, I wouldn't have believed it. Honestly, that's really interesting.
Yeah, no,
I'm surprised there's allowance for that.
You can export them. I think companies like I Run Guns will do it. There might be a few others. I'm not like I haven't looked into it in depth, but I do know a couple people that have done that legally.
Now there's a lot of restrictions from what I understand on that, and I knew several people that were looking into it back in 2020 with the ordering council, not with handguns, but with ARs, and apparently there has to be some sort. What is it? You can only, if a firearm was imported into Canada from the United States, it can only be exported back to the United States through the original importer or something weird like that. And I would assume that would be the same as handguns. Or I just remember there being some real weird hiccups where people were unable to transfer their or export, I suppose, their ARs.
That might well be. I mean, God knows that nothing around firearms in Canada is
ever simple
or concise. And I don't know how that would relate to like the particular people that I know who did it. And for all I know, maybe they had purchased their firearms through whoever had imported them and then used the same people to re-export them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that it is a thing.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is a thing. Yeah. Okay, so Jeff has elaborated here. He says, I seen the YouTube short with a guy saying that he bought them from Canada Customs. Wasn't sure, but the box that the guns came from was from Canada. Post on the box. From Canada.
I kind of find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I find that very hard to believe. Canada
I
Post
deal with
does not ship firearms across the border. That is for sure.
I go across the border, basically monthly, if not more, with a firearm, and they're very particular about it. You got to have your 6 NIA forms filled out. They basically pull you in every single time to check the serial number on your guns. They ask you pistols, long guns, whatever it is. It's kind of, it's not onerous by any means, but you definitely got to have your stuff together to have it done right. You have to have an invite to go down there, or you have to have a hunting license to go down there. It's easy enough once you have everything in place. But you got to make sure you got your ducks in a row.
Yeah,
When
you
you
can't
cross the
just
same
mail
border-
them
you go
across
to the
the
same
border
border
at
crossing
Canada
like
Post
100
in any event.
No,
Like they just that's just not going to happen, not legally anyway. And if that
No.
guy did manage to get somebody to smuggle a gun through Canada Post into the U.S., first of all, you're fucking lucky. Second of all, I wouldn't advise anyone else do it.
Yeah.
And thirdly, just avoid
But
that
like,
with a 10.
what's the point? It's like bringing sand to the beach. Like, why?
Right.
Another good point.
No
Exactly.
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, you can buy it in the States for cheaper than any gun in Canada.
Right.
You can get it for, because
Yeah,
in Canada we're
yeah.
already paying for the export fees from when it was exported out of the U.S. in the first place.
Exactly. And I mean, and if you're exporting it to the States, I mean, I'm assuming you like live in the States part time or something, or you want to use it down there. Like, so
Yeah.
if you have in good states, if you have like state ID, you can just go buy a gun.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel comfortable saying that if somebody was trying to export, it has to be done through an exporter, number one, and number two, they don't ship through Canada Post.
No.
They transfer directly to FFLs in the US, and you would have to get it from your FFL.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny the way we deal with a lot of stuff in the U.S. right? Like the amount of exporting we do, we actually have a U.S. warehouse for MDT that we maintain quite a bit of stock at. So we've got a pretty good understanding of what goes on down there for that, and we also have our guns for shows and things, and that it's a pain in the butt shipping to FFLs all the time, and it makes me appreciate that I can shove a rifle in a Canada Post in a box and ship it via Canada Post to your address, knowing that you have a gun license and are a vetted person, right? So it's definitely easier to ship guns up here than it is in the U.S. Now that's what the only thing that's easier. So,
well, clearly this video exists. Joel says that he saw the same video and caught the Canada part as well. So it sounds obviously the video exists, but I'm going to tell you that either the guy put something illegal up on YouTube like a moron, or he's full of shit. One of those two things is that he's either a criminal, he's full of shit, or he's both. Because there's no way to legally ship through Canada Post. Jeff was also he just elaborated on it a bit more. He said it was an old Luger type pistol. I don't know what a Luger type pistol he means by that, but
Nazi pistol.
Yeah, a Nazi pistol. Unless it was like an old a flintlock or something like that. Because those do you have to export those, because they're in a weird classification system all their
they
own.
are the muzzle loaders are an odd one. Yeah,
like prior to the 18 whatever in 96 or something like that. There's a rule in there around that firearm. Yeah,
I think it's flintlocks or muzzle loader, not a modern muzzle loader. Now, modern muzzle loaders are a whole other story. If you want to talk to somebody that knows some stuff about that, you should get Ken Thiessen on. Right. We're building muzzle loaders that we can shoot 300 grain bullets at like 2,800 feet per second. It's like
I'm getting more and more serious about having Ken make one of those someday, because I'm getting tired of hunting only in this 3 feet of snow.
Dude, it's badass. They're awesome.
Here, where I'm at, there's, other than the novelty of having a muzzle loader, our season where I'm at is any buck from September 10th to November 30th. And you get an extra week in the beginning for archery if you want, but it doesn't matter unless you're going in the mountains because everything's still high up. So there's no muzzle loader or anything. So
you want to know what rifle season was in my neck of the woods this year? November 15 to December 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That was rifle season for whitetail.
And I hunt about 5 minutes away from my house. I get in the truck and drive up.
I drive over an hour and a half to private land, and I camp on it in the winter for several days at a time until I get my deer. And I'm trudging through 3 feet of snow. All time, every time, and I love it. I enjoy it. And if I had a muzzleloader, I would still hunt in rifle season. I would probably do both, but it really would be nice to hunt in September, because muzzleloading season for whitetail is in September.
No kidding, eh? Yeah, they're insanely accurate, man. Like Ken's really got him dialed in on what he's doing with them there too. And now you can go get like you can get like Defiance and Cowbly actions for the damn things.
Yeah.
Like all set up. They're badass.
You know
So-
what's crazy? We were shooting Ryan's for a video. Like when was that? Like the summer at some point.
Yeah, in the summertime. Yeah.
And I mean it's a pretty rad thing. Like is it 45 caliber, Ryan?
It's a 45 caliber, 300 grain bullet.
So that thing, it's pushing that 300 grain bullet fast enough that at 830 yards, it's basically the same. It's the same wind budget as my 308, which is like pushing a 175 RDF at 20 seconds.
And this is a 300 grain what caliber?
45 caliber. 45 cal.
Fuck, that's impressive, hey?
But
Dude,
God, that sounds like fun.
The funny
Like,
thing
how do you
we
make
learned-
muzzle loading fun? That's how.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. But the funny thing that we learned is that like so I have this plate that I shoot at all the time for like a 3-round wind drill. It's a 2/3 IPSC at 830, so like 12 inches wide, right? And with that gun, so that's about 4/10 wide at that distance. Right. And with that gun, it's like I call it a low probability shot because if you're off a mile an hour, like this is with my 308, if you're off by a mile an hour, that your group is going to be centered up on the edge of a plate, right? So statistically, half your rounds are going to be off.
Right.
So unless you're calling the wind basically perfectly, like you're not hitting this plate. But I mean, with a regular bolt gun, it's like, okay, well, you see where you see where the splash is, correct, boom, you're on target. And it's kind of switchy wind because you're coming down a draw coming out of the mountain. So you tend to get a switchy headwind in the morning and a tailwind in the afternoon. Anyways, so we're shooting Ryan's muzzle loader there, figuring like, all right, well, we're gonna hit this plate because like I do it with my 308 all the time. And the big difference is like, yeah, the wind budget is the same, but the time between shots instead of about 2 seconds is about 2 minutes.
Right.
2 minutes.
So you're having to make these minute corrections. That was like based on the data you had 2 minutes ago. I'm like, I like to think I can read the wind well, but I can't read the wind to a mile an hour. No. And so I don't know how long we like shot at that thing, and it's just like really?
I don't know, dude. I was sore after we did that. That we did like 15 or 20 rounds of the damn thing.
And then you're like, you know,
does it kick pretty good?
To show Rhett how quickly you can make a correction, and I'm like, okay, I think the wind is this. I'm like, boom, ting. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna hold off the plate now. Boom. Okay. Boom. Ding. And it's like, oh yeah, that's a lot faster than like 2 minutes to like pour it down. And so it's like ballistics are one thing, but like the speed of re-engagement is a whole other thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, exactly. The that gun was with a carbon fiber, 24-inch carbon fiber, 45 cal Brux barrel, with a Remington action, sitting in a HNT 26.
The Gen 2 razor on it.
No, it didn't. It had for hunting it had a razor, whatever they're called, the hunting one.
LHT
yeah.
4.5 to 22.
Oh.
Yeah,
and that day you had a Gen 3 on it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I had a Gen 3 on it that day. And so with the hunting setup, I think it was with a bipod, I believe it was 10.5 pounds.
Cool. Oh, really?
So
that's not
with a bipod
for
a 300 grain bullet.
Yeah, dude, it gave a good push. It was we put actually. So I ended up taking one of our comp brakes and took it back over to the machine shop and had them bore it out to 50 thou or 500 thou so that I could shoot this thing, because you had to put a funnel down the brake and dump your powder in and then push your bullet down, and there's no sabot on these bullets, right? So that's how you're able to push these higher pressures and higher speeds. And so the bullet, you actually have to put the bullet through a swager to set the size of the bullet to your bore. And then as you seat it down, it actually puts the a light rifling into the bullet. And then when you ignite the powder, it goes and expands the solid copper bullet slightly to fill the gap and then seal it, and so you can shoot it like a regular bullet. It's freaking amazing what they're doing with these things, man. It's cool. It's essentially a single shot rifle is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. A couple of comments, and then we'll start to wrap this up here. So Dave is smack talking me. I guess 3 feet of snow, he figures, is up to my knees. It's a little more than halfway up my thigh, but I appreciate it. Cappy is smack talking Dave. He says, stop bragging about BC hunting season. You'll smack the first forky that you see.
That is true. I smacked a 4-pointer on closing day. I didn't even count its rack because it's any buck, and I had only been out. That was like the first full day of hunting. I was like, oh, that looks like a deer at 250 yards. It's got a rack. All right, boom, smash. All right, cool.
Meat is meat.
Oh, that's pretty big. It's got a big rack on it. That's a lot of meat.
Yeah, there you go. Alberta Rob says maybe just to follow up to the other what we were talking about before. He says maybe the pistols were old enough to be considered curios or relics. That's similar to what we were postulating, theorizing. What's the word?
Yes, both of those.
So Kevin is saying 791 yards under 1 MOA.
That's with his muzzleloader that Ken built.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming. Yeah,
he also says it's his muzzleloader's 19 pounds.
19 pounds. That's why yours has a carbon barrel on it, so it's only 10 pounds.
Yeah, he also lives in flat farmland of Ontario where we don't.
Right.
Yeah, where we were shooting was what I like to call complex terrain.
Jeff is asking, does Canada have 2 different seasons for the inline muzzleloaders and flintlock? I don't think so. I think that I don't think we make that distinction anywhere, do we?
It's just simply primitive weapons.
Yeah.
Depending on where you depending on where you are, province to province. Yeah. Ontario used to have, I believe, like a primitive weapons like flintlock season, and then a muzzleloader season, I believe. Now, I my understanding it's all under the muzzleloader season now, but I can't guarantee that because I only started muzzleloader hunting, a handful of years ago down in southern Ontario. So
I don't think BC has anything for muzzleloaders.
They don't have anything. I tried to take one this spring with take a bear this spring with one at like 320 yards and just missed under his chin. Made me very irritated.
Oh.
So anyway, quick follow-up, he would have been dead. Yeah. Yeah.
So Jeff is saying here, Jeff, I can't remember where you are. I know he's somewhere in the States, but I know Dave is in Alaska. I can't remember where Jeff is though, but he says here we have early inline muzzleloader season in October, and now after Christmas is flintlock only. Interesting. Yeah, we don't.
Pennsylvania.
There's so many different seasons down there. It's awesome. Like the amount of hunting you can do in the States. We were down in Texas and went pig hunting down there. Well, and it's great. You can go at night. You can go thermal hunting. It's freaking badass, man.
Still on my
suppressors, everything. Yeah, America is so much better than we are.
Yeah, it's like coyotes. Sometimes when you go to the matches in Washington, they're on big ranches, and the ranchers are just like, if you see a coyote, smoke it. So like the guys that are camping there before the match will just I'll just set up a comp gun with a can on it on a tripod and get out the thermals and the night vision and just like smoke coyotes at night.
Give it. Well, guys, we're coming down to the wire. What do you guys want to say about MDT or Capra? Or both?
I mean, if you've got any kind of interest in shooting the Rimfire World Championships this year, check out the Capra Facebook page and make a submission. Submit an application, because if you are interested in going and you can go, like it'll be a great time. I mean, it'll be cool. I'm not planning on going. I don't really shoot much Rimfire, to be honest, but it's going and shooting on the world level like that is just a really cool experience. And I'll let Ryan speak more to MDT, but I'll just give a quick plug to my other sponsors, if that's cool. I've had Insight do my guns for years and years. Harley and Andy are awesome dudes. I've been running the new Break, the Gen 2 Heathen, which is awesome. And I also shoot for Vortex Canada, mostly run Razor Gen 3s, which are pretty phenomenal scopes. And then the good guys at Both Action Coffee always keep me getting caffeined up. So, awesome. And obviously MDT, that just kind of goes without saying. But
But you got to say it though.
I gotta say it. Well, MDT, the guys at MDT.
If you don't, you might not get those accessories that Ryan was telling you about earlier.
To be honest, I'm kind of at the point where like MDT is like kind of like another family. I don't imagine I would ever shoot anything else. Like it'd just be kind of weird at this point. So,
well, we would just disown you, Dave.
But yeah,
we
probably will at some point. I'll say something.
Oh, those awkward family reunions after that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dave and I travel quite a bit when we go down to the U.S. because there's not a lot of us that go down there, but the ones that do go, we stick together. So yeah,
Ryan also laughs at the ridiculous crap that I say. So
it's generally entertaining. So
beautiful,
genuinely entertaining. Yeah. Anyway, So obviously MDT, we check out all the YouTube, check out all the stuff we're doing on there. If you got any ideas around stuff you want to see tested or checked or done, reach out to us to our customer service and stuff like that. Same with product ideas or suggestions. We're always open to it, and that's what we really pride ourselves on, is making sure that we're developing products that people want and that they see the need for. So, and just, you reach out to me anytime you guys wanted to as well. If you got any questions around MDT stuff, I'll try my best to answer them. I'm pretty versed in what's going on, and might not have the knowledge on every inlet we have, but I've got a pretty good solid understanding of all the competition stuff. And the way we do that, we're going to be at SHOT Show this year, obviously. I believe the booth is 71113, if I remember correctly.
I'll remember that.
Yeah.
It's in my SHOT Show planner. That's all I need to know.
Exactly.
If I can add one more thing too, I'd just like to say, like anybody who's got any questions about competing and specifically competing in the States, like for one, if you're interested in precision rifle competitions, like you owe it to yourself to go and shoot stateside. It is easy. You get a Form 6 NIA from the ATF. Like it can take a month or two to get it. I've got them back as fast as like 5 days. It doesn't cost anything. It's good for a year. Getting across the border with a Form 6 and a match invite is easy peasy. Shooting matches in the States will 100% make you a better shooter. And if you've got any kind of questions about any of that kind of stuff, just like look me up on Facebook or Instagram. It's just all Dave Garriani. And I could talk about this stuff for all eternity pretty much. So just, yeah.
And just to add to that a little more too, is the guys down there that we shoot with, they're solid dudes, just like the rest of us up.
Real good.
Yeah, the rest of us up in Canada here, they're just salt of the earth guys, want to help everybody out, make sure everybody learns more and more, and make the sport just a stronger sport overall for everybody in North America, Canada, US, and they might give us a few jabs here and there, saying "A" every now and then, but they're good dudes, and we drink their okay beer and go from there. So
yeah. We drink their okay beer. Okay. Well, guys, thanks for coming on. We appreciate the time. Are you going to make some time for us at SHOT Show, Ryan? Or are you going to make us make an appointment?
No, I definitely will make time for you. Give me a bit of a heads up because I won't be in the booth all the time. But yeah, draw me a line. We'll figure it out. Yeah.
Carly Kurtalitsa with Apex Optics, she made me make an appointment.
I'm not surprised by that. She's a very organized lady.
I think she wanted to use her Calendly book, so she's sent me the link and she was like, make me an appointment. So
is that a computer thing?
Calendly is like an online calendar app, basically. Yeah.
I have a book.
But here's the thing. You have to mail me your book overnight through Canada Post Express Post. Carly just sent me a link.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or he sends you a message, one or the other, right? So yeah.
Yeah, either or.
Yeah.
Cool. Guys, everybody who's still watching us, if you haven't already, make sure you put a like or a heart on the Facebooks. If you're on the YouTubes, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, what the fuck? Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got all kinds of cool stuff. We took obviously a couple of weeks break. I was sick twice, Christmas, New Year's, and move. All kinds of ridiculousness, but we are back to it. You're going to start seeing our YouTube content pumping out, and we're going to be back regular on the Fridays. And guys, look out for all of our SHOT Show content, which will be starting in a week and a half, a little less than a week, a little more than a week here, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be awesome. And big thanks to all of our sponsors. Without you guys, we wouldn't have a show in the first place. And before I mention them, big thank you to all of our listeners, all of our audience, all of our watchers, all the people who stalk us every Friday and watch our YouTube stuff, because without you guys, our lives would be pretty sad, because YouTube stuff and internet stuff is only cool if people watch it. So big thank you to Shane and Steve, Miles, Carrie, Cappy, Duncan and Rob, Phil Odell, Doug and Nisa, Vanya and Carly, and Oscar with Ribstone. Thank you in a measurable amount. Are you going to hit the button there, Rooster, or am I going to hit the button?
I will hit the button. Are we ready to go?
Yeah.
Thanks guys.
We'll see everybody else next week.
All right.
I'm going to be in Australia. I'm not going to stop.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, ballistically speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.